Welcome to Beyond the I Am. Today I want to talk about something extremely important for anyone on the spiritual path. How do we read spiritual texts? Most people either do one of two things. They either believe everything they read, or they reject it entirely. But there is a third way, a way of inquiry. Today, we are going to look at a moment in the Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna refuses to fight. And instead of asking who is right, we are going to ask something deeper. What is this moment teaching us about identity, labels, and the mind? Part 1. The situation. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is standing on the battlefield. Across the field are the people he is supposed to fight. But suddenly something happens. He looks across the battlefield and he does not see enemies. He sees his teacher. He sees his cousins. He sees elders. He sees people he loves. And Arjuna says something remarkable. He says he would rather die than kill them. At that moment, something very interesting happens. The label enemy collapses. Part 2. What Arjuna suddenly sees. Before that moment, the situation was simple. There were two sides, us and them, warriors and enemies. But now, Arjuna sees something different. He sees human beings. He sees relationships. He sees unity instead of division. And this creates a crisis inside him, because the labels he lived by suddenly stop making sense. Part 3. The power of labels. Now, let's slow down and look carefully, because the battlefield is actually full of labels. We hear words like warrior, enemy, duty, honor, family, aggressor, weakness. These labels define how everyone is supposed to act. But here is the question we must ask. Are these labels reality, or are they mental structures created by society? Because the moment Arjuna stops seeing labels, the war becomes unbearable to him. Part 4. When identity collides, Arjuna is experiencing something deeper than fear. He is experiencing the collapse of identity. He is a warrior, but he is also a nephew. He is a soldier, but he is also a student of the very teacher he must now fight. Two identities collide, and when identity collides, confusion arises. Part 5. Why this moment? This is why this moment is so important for spiritual inquiry, because it shows us how much of our perception is shaped by identity and labels. When we identify with a group, we divide the world. My nation, my religion, my family, my side, and immediately the opposite appears. Enemy, other, threat. But when those labels dissolve, something else appears. Human beings. Part 6. Turning the inquiry inward. This is where the deeper inquiry begins. Instead of asking whether Arjuna should fight or not fight, we can ask a different question. Who is the one who believes he must fight? Who is the warrior? Who is the nephew? Who is the one who feels compassion? Because all of these belong to identity, and identity belongs to the mind. Part 7. Looking beyond the story. The mistake people often make when reading spiritual texts is this. They argue about the story. They argue about the characters. They argue about who is right and who is wrong. But the real purpose of a spiritual text is not debate. It is self-inquiry. The real question is not about Arjuna. The real question is about you. Part 8. Turning the teaching toward yourself. Ask yourself honestly, when do I create enemies in my life? When do labels shape the way I see people? When do identity and belief divide the world into sides? Because the battlefield of the Gita is not only outside, it is inside the human mind. Part 9. A different way to read spiritual texts. So, how should we read spiritual teachings? Not as belief, not as authority, but as mirrors for inquiry. Whenever you read something spiritual, Try this approach. First, observe what the text says. Second, notice the labels being used. Third, examine the psychology behind those labels. Fourth, turn the question inward. What does this reveal about the mind? And finally, ask the deepest question. Who is the one experiencing all of this? Part 10. The direct path. This is where the direct path begins. Because the moment you begin questioning identity, something profound starts to happen. You begin to see that the roles you play in life are temporary. The labels given to you by society are temporary. Even the sense of being a separate person begins to come into question. And when that inquiry deepens, the attention naturally turns toward the source of the I. Part 11. Beyond belief. This is why belief is never enough. Belief is secondhand. Belief comes from someone else's experience. But the spiritual path is not about belief. It is about direct seeing. Seeing clearly how identity forms. Seeing clearly how labels divide the world. Seeing clearly who or what we truly are. Part 12. The real battlefield. So the real battlefield is not in ancient India. The real battlefield is the human mind. It is the place where identity, fear, belief, and conditioning struggle for control. And the true victory is not defeating an enemy. The true victory is seeing clearly, seeing through the illusion of separation, seeing through the labels that divide us, and discovering what remains when those labels fall away. The closing reflection. So, I will leave you with two questions to sit with. When Arjuna stopped seeing enemies and started seeing human beings, what changed in his perception? And even deeper, if all labels were removed from the people you encounter every day, who or what would you actually see? Sit with that. Observe it in your life. And let the inquiry continue. The closing. If this reflection resonated with you, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. This space is dedicated to deep inquiry and exploration beyond concepts, beyond identity, and beyond the I am. Until next time, remain curious and keep looking within.